Good news and bad news, Guardians. Destiny 2's Lightfall expansion launched just a few days ago, reaching an all-time high on Steam for its concurrent player records, while also reaching near all-time lows in player ratings and feedback. Here are some of the most common thoughts and feedback from the community after the first few days of Lightfall. Starting with Season of Defiance. The story background involving Amanda Holliday, Mara Sov, and even Devrim Kay in the ongoing seasonal Battleground are a likable, solid addition to the game. Nothing bad here to report yet, at least in the video, so we're going to start off a little light with an early win. Let me know in the comments if you feel differently here about Season of Defiance. How about crafting? Any changes here? With crafting, we see that red frame weapon patterns can now be extracted immediately without grinding the weapon. Fewer crafting currencies are needed to craft and enhance your weapons. This is good. Next, we have gear and weapon updates. The good. New exotics are all really exciting to use. For weapons, the exotic weapons list includes the seasonal weapon Vergless Curve, which is a bow, Vexcalibur, a void glaive, Final Warning, it's a kinetic slot strand sidearm, Deterministic Chaos, the void machine gun, Winter Bite, a stasis glaive and heavy, and the new raid exotic Conditional Finality, which is a solar and stasis shotgun. What about armor? For exotic armor, the new list includes 2 hunter options for helmet and legs, the Seer Terracnes Facade and Speedloader Slacks, helmet and legs. Warlocks have a legs and gauntlet options in the Swarmers and Ballador's Wrathweavers. And then the Titans have new exotic legs and helmet options in Abeyant Leap and Cadmus Ridge Lance Cap. Other notes for gear here is that the baseline floor for gear was brought up to 1600 in Lightfall. And another thing is that I've seen some gear change the stat weights that it had. My Assassin's Cal Exotic Hunter Helm went from 45, which was terrible, to upward, I think it was around like 58, 59 when I looked at it, day one Lightfall. So, let me know if anyone else has experienced something similar with like Witch Queen low stat weight drop exotics, and I'd be curious to hear in the comments. But the bad here, let's talk a little bit about the bad. Disabled weapons for raids and other activities included weapons Winterbite, Jotun, Grand Overture, Fighting Lion, and Hierarchy of Needs. This is not new for Bungie to disable weapons before a new raid, but in principle it shows that there was not enough testing before releasing the content. People pay good money for each Destiny 2 expansion, plus the Season Pass, not to mention the time and effort going into unlock some of these. Just to not have them accessible for a while can be frustrating, to say the least, for many players. Next up, how are we feeling about the mod updates? The good. The new mod system is simpler, which offers an easy point of entry for newcomers or casual gamers alike. The bad. Experienced Destiny players with lots of builds and mods for PvE and PvP lost a ton of variety in the current mod design system. Everything revolves around being charged with light and armor charges. We lost out on a few playstyles that we may have really liked. It's a playstyle here with a charge of light and armor charges that works especially well for strand classes during the campaign, but can begin to offer staler experiences as players farm their light level and the same content with less build variety than before. Technical issues. Character models and weapons are prone to randomly disappearing from view and replaced with a blue or purple dotted see-through after image. This can make it challenging to use scoped weapons that require accuracy, and can be hard on the eyes for those visually impaired or photosensitive. Temporary solutions. I've learned from trial and error that if your character model disappears, you can make everything visible again if you do a quick emote. I wish I caught this on film to show y'all, but of course I couldn't replicate it in time for the video. But let me know if this works for you or you've seen other methods when your character model disappears. Next up, let's go with Neptune. How are we liking Neomuna as a destination? Look good here in my opinion, excellent aesthetics and zone design, approaching the terminal overload zone and passing for your first time, especially before finishing the campaign, is an experience in futility that for me at least encouraged me to hustle to get stronger and to circle back. The bad, the city is bare and lifeless. No people present beyond Nimbus, Osiris, and Rohan during the campaign, with writing for each character that left much to be desired. But we'll leave the campaign, story, etc. for later. Residents of Neomuna have uploaded their consciousness to the cloud and exist as hollow data that you can interact with across the city for patrols, etc. This leaves the area feeling stale and empty. Even massive amounts of enemies disappear depending on the public event triggered. Are Tormentors as good as promised? The good? They're an awesome new enemy type and an upgrade from Hive Guardians, the Hive Lightbearers, and they're quite ferocious and they have quite formidable tenacity. The bad, myself and many other detractors may feel that it is a reskinned Hunter uh, from Halo that Bungie may have used, the character model they may have used, and just slapped on some additional suppression abilities. But all in all, Tormentors I think are more good than bad. Next up, Strand. And first off, I love Strand. I think it's amazing. The good here, context is I'm a hunter main, so for me, Strand is an incredibly fun subclass added to the game. Feels like a mix between being Spider-Man and Yondu minus the whistling. Threadlings are always an amazing addition to the game and have lots of utility depending on how you customize via Strand aspects and fragments. And you'll really get familiar with weaving, unraveling, tangles, suspending, and sever, so don't stress the learning curve there, and trust you'll have plenty of farming to do to further familiarize yourself as you unlock all the aspects and fragments. The bad. The campaign spends way too much time walking you through a Karate Kid level of montage of learning, Strand across the majority of missions, and its introduction to the game is less than enthusiastic lore-wise as you just sorta bump into random green stuff, and boom, new subclass. It's a bit lazy if you ask me. Many Guardians also dislike that grappling takes up the grenade slot, leaving the class feeling less than promised in that regard. Additionally, the grapple attached to enemy and melee combo you can oftentimes induce is a miss, a swing and a miss in critical situations early on. And it takes a bit of practice to getting used to, and once you get it, you got it, and it feels amazing. Also, unlocking all the aspects and fragments can feel quite tedious as it takes a considerable amount of time. Even if you're having a farming group going up, it just comes down to knowing what activities to run and which are going to reward the currency there. But I think this Strand aspect is, or Strand subclass is a step in the right direction compared to Stasis's introduction. I think we're still expecting more nonetheless in Lightfall and not just inching forward since Beyond Light was 2 expansions ago. Last but not least, we have the Lightfall story and campaign. From here on out, we have spoilers, so stop here if you don't want them. And of course, if you're vibing with the channel and want to catch streams in action, be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube and check us out over on twitch.tv/lucid2cents. So let's dig in. And you know what's coming when I talk about Lightfall story and campaign. All bad. The laziest introduction to a new planet and city ever. No cutscene between getting into an escape pod at the end of the first mission and landing on Neptune just to start fighting, and oops, what's that green stuff? Bam, new power? Wow, lazy, lazy, lazy writing. The beginning cutscene where the emergency shutters go down for the Guardian leaders, the tower observing the witness, decimation of the Traveler and the fleet up close. Those shutters are lifted during the final cutscene of the campaign, meaning the course of events from touchdown to Neomuna to killing Callus at the end of the campaign happen in a flurry, much quicker than the slog of a questline, swapping back and forth between our chosen subclass and forced usage of Strand. Next, Osiris. Why was he so incredibly snarky, rude, and at times yelling at us for not being good enough, catching on to using Strand, and that experience got really old really fast. First of all, why is somebody without light and being able to resurrect themselves, having a ghost or no longer having a ghost? Why is he yelling at me? I'm stronger than you. I'm better than you. First off. Second off, if the difference between the entry cutscene and the final cutscene was a matter of a few hours or days, again, what's the problem? Osiris. And for Callus, I think that the villain was incredibly stale and lazy compared to the writing of Savathun. We've had a lot of exposure to Callus, and him being lazily written just seemed like a very anticlimactic way to exit him from the story. How many times can we hear about power and wealth before reward? No depth, no complexity, and ultimately he's written out the story. Rohan's death is incredibly telegraphed and a bit silly, especially in how Nimbus reacts to it in a very flippant way. For Cloud Striders, where death is incredibly real and accelerated due to their upgrades and their shorter lifespans. Perhaps maybe it was the voice acting or maybe the combination of everything, but we see a bit more redemption in Nimbus's presence in game if you follow the quest lines for the exotics like Collective Obligation. And what about this Veil? All bad. Both Guardians new in season alike still have little to no idea what it is, And much of the campaign and post-campaign writing is centered around dialogue, asking the Guardian and Ghost to stop asking questions and just focus on killing. It's odd since we spend the entire campaign searching for it, protecting it, then just giving it away to the witness because we wouldn't make a snap decision. We do get a few hints coming, connecting it to the Black Heart, and we do get more of that in the new raid. However, it looks like Bungie is going to commit to giving us a lot more clarity in the next 3 seasons. And of course, if you're a casual gamer, you don't get any of the raid content. So anything gained there is you're not going to get it unless you watch YouTube. And next up, the concept of the Traveler is dead within the storyline, but also the cop-out that we have just enough light as Guardians to keep us farming light level. Just seems like a huge misstep in the story. Compare this to when Gaul contained the Traveler, just contained. I didn't cut him open, tattoo him, etc. like the Witness did, and Guardians lost all of their light. The name Lightfall alludes to at least this much, but the story here falls on its face, I'm sorry, I know, and simply doesn't land. This new portal opened up by the Witness inside the Traveler raises questions as to new developments, new zone, new concept of what the Traveler is or not, etc. But one thing's for sure, final shape has been repeated ad nauseum, and that too leads us up a creek without a paddle. Conclusion, I'm giving Lightfall a 4 out of 10. When a company like Bungie does better, the bar is raised, and you can't regress to say Shadowkeep era of piss poor effort. We've seen other developers in series like Final Fantasy XIV, their MMO, officially apologize and reinvest efforts into the community to right their wrongs. Time will tell if Bungie does something similar, but I highly doubt it at this point. Destiny 2 faithful will continue to play Lightfall religiously, but it's a huge damper on community morale and trust in Bungie delivering a quality product. Destiny as a series has always had its gunplay as the primary selling point, and eventually we grew to appreciate a greater quality story of Witch Queen and beyond. For new lights and blueberries, let your time and money do the talking. When it comes to these companies, they listen to those two things the most. If they see a dip, they'll likely have to respond. I'd recommend against, honestly, the $100 purchase of the game and season pass. If you've played the previous expansions and were a Witch Queen faithful, I'd say remain free to play or just get the baseline $50 game so you can have the strand subclass and some of the weapons for this season or whatever makes sense for you financially. If you've got the room, go for the $100 one. Otherwise, I think those funds could be better spent if you're not 1,000+ hours in to Destiny and beyond saving like myself, and find some other games to play. But for those of us continuing to play and leveling through the season pass and beyond, what are some changes to season XP farming, season pass XP farming, and are there things that we should be keeping in mind? Tune in next time. Peace.